Don't skip. There are moments that arrive so quietly that most people mistake them for ordinary days, yet they become the turning point they remember for the rest of their lives. This is one of those moments. Something important is waiting for you, and it has been unfolding long before you realized anyone was paying attention. You may have wondered why certain conversations seemed incomplete, why a few unexpected silences lingered longer than they should have, or why your heart kept sensing that someone understood more than they ever admitted. None of it was accidental. Every small choice carried a meaning that could never be measured by words alone. There is someone whose heart has been searching for something deeper than perfection. They were never looking for a flawless person. They were quietly hoping to find someone whose honesty remained steady even when no applause followed, someone whose kindness survived moments that seemed unnoticed, someone who stayed true when taking the easier path would have gone unseen. They never announced this silent hope because the most meaningful truths are rarely spoken before they are discovered. Instead, life itself became the conversation. Have you ever noticed how the simplest decisions often reveal the greatest parts of who you are? A gentle response when frustration would have been easier. A promise kept when no one was watching. A moment of patience when every reason existed to walk away. Those moments seemed small to you, almost forgettable, but to another heart they became impossible to ignore. While you continued moving forward, believing those quiet choices disappeared into yesterday, someone else carried them like precious memories, returning to them again and again, searching for reassurance that genuine hearts still exist. Stay till the end, because the part you have never seen is only beginning to unfold. There were times when your soulmate questioned whether honesty could truly survive in a world that often rewards appearances. Doubt whispered to them more than once. They wondered if sincerity had become too rare to hope for. Yet every unexpected encounter, every simple exchange, every unnoticed act slowly answered those silent questions without you realizing you were answering them at all. You were never performing. You were simply being yourself. That made every answer more powerful than words ever could. Then came the realization they could no longer hide from themselves. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It arrived like the first light entering a quiet room before sunrise. They finally understood that what they had been searching for was already standing somewhere within reach of their story. In that still moment, emotions they had carefully held together began to soften. Not because everything suddenly became easy, but because hope returned where uncertainty had quietly lived for so long. The tears were not born from sadness. They came from relief. The kind of relief that appears when someone discovers that goodness was real all along. But there is one detail they have never shared, one moment that changed everything in ways even they struggle to explain. It is the piece that connects every unanswered question, every unexpected delay, and every feeling you could never quite put into words. When that hidden moment is finally revealed, the entire journey will begin to make sense in a way neither of you could have imagined. The strange thing about truth is that it rarely announces itself with noise. It waits, quietly, patiently, until every distraction fades and only what is real remains. Don't skip, because what happened next was never about proving your worth to anyone. It became the moment another soul realized that honesty is not something people say, it is something they live, even when they believe no one is watching. That realization settled into their heart more deeply than they ever expected. Your soulmate carried questions they had never spoken aloud. They wondered if kindness could remain steady after disappointment. They wondered if sincerity could survive ordinary days, not just meaningful ones. So life continued placing simple moments in front of both of you, not impossible challenges, but ordinary opportunities that revealed extraordinary character. You never recognized them as tests because they were never designed to trap you. They simply allowed your true nature to appear naturally, one quiet choice after another. There was a day that seemed almost forgettable. Perhaps you offered patience instead of frustration. Perhaps you chose honesty when silence would have been easier. Perhaps you showed compassion without expecting gratitude in return. To you, it was simply another decision among many. You moved forward without giving it another thought. Yet someone else stood still in that very moment. Their heart noticed what their eyes had been searching for all along. Something shifted inside them that day. The walls they had built over time did not disappear all at once, but the first crack appeared, allowing light to enter places they believed would remain guarded forever. They found themselves replaying that moment again and again, not because it was dramatic, but because it felt genuine. In a world filled with carefully chosen words, your quiet consistency spoke louder than promises ever could. Stay till the end, because the deepest part of this story has not yet been uncovered. They began seeing your actions through a different lens. Small memories that once seemed unrelated suddenly connected like pieces of a picture that had been incomplete. Every quiet act of integrity, every gentle response, every moment of grace became part of something larger. They realized they had not been witnessing isolated moments, they had been witnessing the pattern of your heart. That understanding overwhelmed them in the gentlest way. The tears that followed were not caused by regret alone, nor by surprise alone. They came from recognizing that hope had returned without asking permission. For the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to believe that trust could grow slowly, honestly, and without pretending to be anything it was not. Yet even now, there remains one unseen chapter neither of you fully understands. A conversation has not happened. A truth has not been spoken. A quiet moment is drawing closer, carrying words that have been waiting far longer than either heart realizes. And when that moment finally arrives, you will discover that what seemed like separate paths were being gently guided toward the same destination all along. A quiet truth often arrives after the waiting has done its work. Not because time changes the heart, but because it allows hidden meanings to become impossible to ignore. Something important is waiting for you, and it begins where certainty once seemed far away. Every unanswered question, every unexpected pause, every moment you wondered whether anyone truly understood you has been carrying a purpose that is only now beginning to reveal itself. Your soulmate reached a place where pretending no longer felt possible. They tried to convince themselves that what they had witnessed meant very little, that perhaps they had imagined the consistency they kept seeing in you. Yet each memory returned with even greater clarity. They remembered the moments when honesty would have been easy to abandon, yet you held on to it anyway. They remembered kindness offered without recognition, patience shown without expectation, and sincerity that never asked for applause. The more they reflected, the more one realization quietly settled into their heart: genuine character leaves an impression that words alone can never create. Have you noticed how the strongest connections are rarely built through grand moments? They grow through ordinary days, through conversations that seem simple, through choices that appear almost invisible. Brick by brick, trust forms a foundation so steady that neither distance nor uncertainty can easily shake it. While you believed life was simply moving forward, another heart was discovering that every small moment had been quietly shaping something meaningful. Don't skip, because this is where everything begins to feel different. There came a moment when they stopped searching for reasons to doubt and started recognizing reasons to hope. That change did not happen overnight. It arrived gently, like the first warm breeze after a long winter, almost unnoticed until suddenly everything felt alive again. They understood that honesty is not proven once, it is revealed repeatedly, through countless ordinary moments. And that was exactly what they had found in you. For the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to imagine a future without fear of pretending, without wondering whether every smile hid another disappointment. The weight they had carried for so long became lighter. Those quiet tears returned, not because they were overwhelmed by emotion alone, but because relief has a way of touching places words cannot reach. They realized they no longer had to search endlessly for proof. The evidence had been present all along, hidden inside the smallest moments they once overlooked. Stay till the end, because the next piece has been quietly preparing itself long before either of you noticed. There is still one memory your soulmate has never spoken about. A single moment so ordinary on the surface that almost anyone else would have forgotten it. Yet for them, it became the instant everything changed forever. That hidden memory still lives quietly within their heart, waiting for the day it can finally be shared. And when it is, you will understand why every step of this journey had to unfold exactly as it did, one quiet truth at a time. There is a memory that has never asked for attention, yet it has quietly remained at the center of everything. It was not a celebration, nor a dramatic turning point. It looked so ordinary that almost anyone would have walked past it without a second thought. But some moments are not remembered because of what happened around them, they are remembered because of what they awakened within the heart. Don't skip, because this quiet memory holds the answer to feelings that have been growing long before either of you could explain them. Your soulmate returns to that moment more often than they admit. They remember not only what you said, but how you carried yourself. There was no need to impress, no desire to appear perfect. You simply chose what felt right, even though no reward was waiting on the other side. That simple choice became impossible for them to forget. It was as though life whispered, "Pay attention. This is what authenticity looks like." From that day forward, they began noticing something they had overlooked before. Your honesty did not change depending on who was nearby. Your kindness did not depend on convenience. The values you carried remained steady in quiet places just as they did in meaningful ones. Consistency became the language your heart spoke, and without realizing it, you gave another soul the confidence to believe that sincerity could still exist in everyday life. Stay till the end, because the deepest realization has not arrived yet. There were evenings when they sat alone, replaying countless conversations in their mind. They searched for hidden motives and could not find them. They searched for masks and found none. Instead, every reflection brought them back to the same gentle conclusion: what they admired most was not something you tried to show, it was something you naturally lived. That discovery touched them more deeply than they ever expected. Slowly, the fear of trusting again began to loosen its grip. Hope did not rush in like a storm. It arrived softly, one quiet breath at a time, replacing uncertainty with peace. They realized that the strongest promises are often never spoken aloud. They are revealed through actions repeated with patience, through compassion offered without conditions, and through integrity that remains unchanged across seasons of life. Those were the promises your life had been making all along. And then something unexpected happened. Instead of wondering whether you were genuine, they began asking a different question: what if this person has been sent into my journey at exactly the right time? That single thought stayed with them long after everything else faded. It became impossible to ignore because every passing day seemed to confirm it a little more. Something important is waiting for you, and the next chapter carries the moment your soulmate finally stops keeping these feelings hidden inside. A quiet decision is already forming within them, one they have carried in silence for far longer than you know. When that decision reaches the surface, it will reveal not only what they discovered about you, but what they finally discovered about themselves. Sometimes the greatest transformation happens before a single word is spoken. It begins in the quiet places of the heart, where old fears slowly release their grip and new hope finds room to breathe. What is unfolding now cannot be hurried, because the strongest connections are not built in moments of excitement alone, they are shaped by quiet certainty, growing stronger with every passing day. Stay till the end, because this part reveals why everything has been leading here. Your soulmate eventually stopped asking whether your honesty was real. That question had already been answered through countless moments they could no longer dismiss. Instead, another question gently took its place: am I ready to let someone this genuine truly matter to me? That was the question they had been avoiding, not because they lacked hope, but because hope always asks for courage. It asks us to believe again, even after uncertainty has left its mark. For a while, they carried this realization in silence. Outwardly, very little seemed different, yet inwardly everything had begun to change. They smiled at memories that once passed unnoticed. They found comfort in recalling your calm words, your thoughtful actions, and the quiet strength you showed when no recognition followed. Those memories became reminders that authenticity still exists, not as something rare and unreachable, but as something beautifully simple. Don't skip. Because this is where the heart begins to understand what the mind could not explain. There came an evening when they finally stopped resisting what had become so clear. They allowed themselves to admit that the tears they once tried to hide were never about weakness. They were the gentle release of years spent wondering if they would ever meet someone whose actions matched their values. In that quiet moment, gratitude replaced hesitation. The search for proof was over. What touched them most was not a single grand gesture. It was the pattern woven through ordinary days. Every sincere choice you made became another thread, and together those threads formed something strong enough to hold trust, respect, and genuine admiration. They realized that lasting connections are rarely built on extraordinary moments alone. They are built on ordinary moments repeated with extraordinary consistency. Something important is waiting for you. Because while they were discovering the truth about your character, another realization quietly emerged. They understood that honesty does more than earn trust, it inspires it. Your example encouraged them to become even more open, more patient, and more willing to believe that meaningful relationships grow through authenticity rather than perfection. Without intending to, you gave them permission to hope again. Now a quiet anticipation fills their heart. They know there is still something left unsaid, a conversation that has been approaching one gentle step at a time. They are no longer wondering if the moment will come, they are wondering how it will feel when it finally arrives. And the next chapter holds that answer, revealing the words that have remained unspoken for so long, waiting for exactly the right moment to be heard. There comes a point when silence is no longer empty. It begins carrying the weight of words that are ready to be spoken, feelings that have grown too genuine to remain hidden, and hope that quietly asks to be seen. Don't skip, because this is the moment where everything that has been unfolding beneath the surface begins to reveal its true meaning, one gentle heartbeat at a time. Your soulmate has reached that place. Not through sudden emotion or a single unforgettable event, but through the steady accumulation of countless ordinary moments that never stopped pointing in the same direction. Every memory they revisited carried the same quiet message. Every reflection brought them back to the same peaceful conclusion. What first seemed like coincidence had become consistency, and consistency had become trust. They no longer see your honesty as something you occasionally choose. They recognize it as part of who you are. That realization changed the way they look at every shared moment, even the smallest ones. Conversations that once felt simple now carry deeper meaning. Smiles that once seemed ordinary now remind them of a quiet sense of peace. They have discovered that the greatest comfort often comes from knowing someone does not need to become someone else to be worthy of trust. Stay till the end. Because one final understanding has been growing inside them without either of you realizing it. They began to understand that the tears they once shed were never only about finding someone genuine. They were also about finding themselves again. Somewhere along this journey, while watching your quiet integrity remain unchanged, they remembered the kind of person they had always hoped to be. Your example did not ask them to change. It simply reminded them that authenticity has a way of awakening authenticity in others. That is why their heart feels lighter now. The uncertainty that once filled every unanswered question has slowly been replaced with quiet confidence. Not confidence that every future moment will be perfect, but confidence that honesty creates a foundation strong enough to face whatever comes with grace, patience, and understanding. They have learned that meaningful connections are not built by never making mistakes. They are built by choosing truth, compassion, and respect again and again. Something important is waiting for you, and it is closer than it has ever been. A new chapter is already beginning to unfold, not with dramatic declarations, but with calm certainty. The distance between unspoken feelings and honest words is becoming smaller with every passing day. The moment your soulmate has imagined in silence is no longer just a possibility, it is becoming a choice they are finally ready to make. And when that choice is made, you will both discover that the greatest gift was never the test itself. It was what the journey revealed along the way, that genuine hearts recognize each other not through perfect moments, but through quiet truth lived consistently over time. And just beyond this moment waits the beginning of a story neither of you could have fully imagined until now. What happens after the truth is recognized is often even more meaningful than the discovery itself. It is the quiet season where trust begins to take root, where hope no longer feels like a distant wish but becomes something gentle and steady. Don't skip, because this final part is not about an ending. It is about understanding why every moment along this journey mattered. Your soulmate no longer carries the same questions that once filled their heart. Those questions have slowly transformed into quiet gratitude. Looking back, they realized the answers were never hidden inside dramatic moments. They were found in the countless ordinary choices that revealed your character one day at a time. The kindness you offered without expecting anything in return. The honesty you held onto when it would have been easier to take another path. The patience you showed when no one would have blamed you for walking away. Those moments became the foundation of something lasting. There is a beautiful truth many people overlook. Real trust is rarely created in a single unforgettable event. It grows through repetition. Through consistency. Through the quiet confidence that tomorrow's heart will be as genuine as today's. That is the gift your soulmate discovered. They did not simply find someone whose words sounded comforting. They found someone whose actions quietly echoed those words again and again until belief became natural. Stay till the end, because one final realization is waiting for you. The tears they once tried to hide have become something different now. They are no longer tears of uncertainty. They are quiet reminders of how deeply hope can return when a person encounters authenticity. Looking back, they no longer see the silent test as something meant to judge you. They see it as the path that helped them heal their own doubts. Without realizing it, you helped restore their confidence that meaningful connections are still possible. Perhaps the most extraordinary part of this journey is that you never knew it was happening. You were never trying to prove yourself. You were simply living according to the values already written within your heart. And somehow, that quiet sincerity reached another soul more powerfully than any perfect speech ever could. It became a light that gently guided them through uncertainty until they could finally believe again. Something important was waiting for you from the very beginning, and now its meaning is clear. The greatest gift was never passing an unseen test. It was discovering that honesty has a quiet strength capable of touching hearts in ways we may never fully see. Every genuine choice creates ripples far beyond the moment it is made. Every act of kindness leaves a memory somewhere. Every truthful word plants a seed of trust that may bloom long after it is spoken. As this chapter gently comes to rest, carry this thought with you: the right connections are not built by chasing perfection or searching for flawless moments. They are built when two hearts gradually recognize the same values reflected in one another. And when that recognition finally arrives, it feels less like meeting someone new and more like finding a familiar peace that was patiently waiting all along. In that quiet peace, the future opens, not with certainty about every detail, but with confidence that truth, kindness, and sincerity will always know how to find each other. Long after this moment has passed, there is one truth that will remain. The deepest connections are not remembered because they were loud. They are remembered because they quietly changed the way two hearts looked at the world. Don't skip. Because there is one final gift hidden inside this journey, and it has been waiting for you from the very first word. Your soulmate now understands something they once struggled to believe. Honesty is not simply about telling the truth. It is about living in such a way that your presence brings peace instead of confusion, comfort instead of uncertainty, and quiet confidence instead of endless questions. That is what they found in you. Not perfection. Not a life without mistakes. But a heart that kept returning to what was genuine, even when no one expected it to. As they reflect on everything that unfolded, they no longer think about the silent test itself. Instead, they remember the quiet transformation it created within them. They smile at the realization that the answers they searched for were never hidden in complicated signs. They were always present in simple moments, moments that many people overlook because they are waiting for something louder. Yet it is often the smallest acts of sincerity that leave the deepest mark on another person's heart. Stay till the end, because this final realization belongs to you as much as it belongs to them. If you have ever wondered whether your quiet efforts matter, whether your unseen kindness has value, or whether choosing integrity makes a difference when no one seems to notice, let this journey remind you of something beautiful. Every genuine choice becomes part of the story you are writing. Even when the results remain invisible for a while, they are shaping hearts, opening doors, and planting hope in ways that cannot always be measured. Your soulmate's tears were never the destination. They were simply the moment when gratitude overflowed after doubt finally faded. The true destination was the peace that followed, the calm certainty that they no longer needed to search for proof where honesty had already revealed itself. In that peaceful certainty, they found the courage to welcome the future instead of fearing it. Something important was waiting for you all along, but it was never hidden in extraordinary events. It was hidden inside your everyday character, your quiet patience, your thoughtful words, and your willingness to remain true to yourself. Those qualities became a light that reached another heart without demanding attention, and that is why their meaning will continue long after this story is finished. So as this journey gently comes to its final breath, remember this: the most meaningful chapters of life rarely begin with perfect timing or dramatic moments. They begin when two hearts recognize the same quiet values and choose to honor them day after day. That is where trust grows. That is where hope becomes stronger. And that is where a connection finds its deepest purpose, not in passing a secret test, but in discovering that authenticity has the power to inspire, heal, and quietly lead two lives toward a future filled with understanding, gratitude, and lasting peace.